We call it Transformational Thursdays, where we aspire to inspire. You know, we bring change makers into the studio so that they can share with us and then they share with you. And for about an hour or so, you know what? It's all about them.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is not a his interview.
Yeah.
Tunakana tunaongea kiwase.
Yeah.
Unaelewa hiyo Swahili kakangu?
Yeah.
Bas. You know, so we're just sitting and chatting. And you know what? Hopefully, by the time our guest leaves the studio on Thursday, yes, we have given you some sort of foresight and indeed some sort of a direction in terms of navigating these mean streets that we call Nairo. Makenya.
Yeah.
Okay. Makenya. Now, in studio, he is the senior partner for Tactiv Consulting, and I like the way that it's been written here. You're a co-founder. He's a board member. He's a business coach. He's an advisor. All right. Social impact. He's in social impact in technology, the value chain, and operations as well. Yeah. You know, he's a driven individual with a strong passion for acquiring knowledge. Unasikia, my friend?
Definitely.
Yes. And then he boasts over 15 years of experience in developing businesses in emerging markets and program development. Wow. Ranging from grassroots level programs to managing global teams as a serial entrepreneur. Umesikia you, my friend?
Yes.
Yani, he just keeps on, he can't stop doing it. It's like a serial killer. Do you watch Down? As a serial entrepreneur, this particular individual, my brother from Nigeria, has co-founded several ventures and possesses expertise in stakeholder management, holistic business strategy development, team building, and fundraising. This gentleman has managed a global supply chain, manufacturing goods in sub-Saharan Africa and exporting them to Stato, Europe, and indeed Asia. In the past 3 years, this is the bit that I like, he has worked with over 100 SMEs as a business coach, management consultant, and board advisor. He takes pride in supporting women-owned businesses, that's about 40%, and youth-owned 70% businesses. And he is a pan-African social leader and has an excellent track record in supporting high-growth business models. He has also closely collaborated with organizations like KEPSA, Ajiri, Growth Africa, and Shonako, and indeed B-Lab as well. You know what? He's an individual who's always looking for new challenges, and he's committed to learning and quickly assimilating product program knowledge. He remains focused on assessing needs and helping people and businesses thrive. The senior partner of Tactiv Consulting, Kaye Matereke, welcome to Spice Drive, my brother.
Thank you. It's such an honor.
Karibu sana. Now, Kaye.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. You're a Pan-Africanist.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because, I mean, tell us your backstory. Just a little. Okay, that's your CV.
Yeah.
Who's Kaye?
Yeah. Thank you. First of all, it's such an honor to be here. I grew up in Zimbabwe. I'm Zimbabwean. I'm actually half Zimbabwean, half Zambian.
Right.
And I grew up in an economy that had 6 digits for inflation, right? So everyone's complaining about the change in the dollar now. Yes. But I remember a time when I was like maybe 10 or 11, and I'm in a queue going to buy some bread, and then at 6 digits inflation, the price of bread changes every 6 hours, right? And
what?
So you're in.
So sorry, Kate. This is Zim. I'm in
Zim.
Zambia. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you're in the queue. You've been sent to get bread, and the price changes. And the person who actually buys the bread, as it finishes, starts to sell it for a higher price right next to you.
Jesus.
And you're sort of stuck with this situation where you're thinking about what could I have done in the 45 minutes I was in the queue,
right,
as I was hoping to get bread,
right,
to actually, get bread. Right. And sometimes people don't understand the significance. The significance is if you cannot find food to put in your stomach, then your life starts to revolve around food. So it means I have siblings. I've got a younger sister and a younger brother. I would then have to think, where else could I go? What else could I do just to solve that first problem before I can think about anything else that's productive? So that's a little bit about where I'm from.
So you preferred the folks were, so you have Zambian, half Zimbabwean.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Harare, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Okay, this is the end of Mugabe days.
Yeah. Well, smack in the middle of the action. Yeah.
This is when you had that 10 trillion note, is it?
This is true. This is true.
So this is the thing. Yeah, and you're right, because in this day and age now, so the dollar, man, people are they're saying forget the central bank rates. Okay, now whatever central bank says, whatever they peg the rate, that's out the window. Yeah. Now let's just go total black market. That's where we're going.
Exactly.
So okay, now I hear that you come from a family where your Zach was an engineer.
Yeah.
Tell us that story. You've got two siblings, right?
Three. I've got an older sister, a younger sister, and then my brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and daddy was an engineer.
Yeah.
And so how was it growing up in Harare at that particular point with your Zach being an engineer?
Yeah.
And mom was?
A midwife. She worked in a hospital.
Okay.
Nurse.
Okay. And then, your two siblings?
So the youngest one is a software engineer. He's based in South Africa. My older sister is also based in South Africa. Both of them are now in Pretoria.
Right.
And then the sister that comes after me is based in Zimbabwe. She and her husband are farming tobacco.
Farming tobacco.
Yeah.
All right. So then here you is, and we are told that it's 2008, right?
Yeah.
Kenya's just gone through that election.
Yeah.
Right? And there was PEV, post-election violence.
Yeah.
Where are you? And then you decided, you know what, as a Pan-Africanist, I want to go to Kenya. Tell us that story.
Yeah. So I was actually based in South Africa at the time. Right. I was starting to do a bit of consulting work. And like from the time I was maybe, I want to say 14, 15, I started doing peace work, so peace and mediation work. So started working
as a teenager.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, within the context, because when you think about like violence, violence is recurring. So the person who is the victim then becomes the perpetrator, and if there is no mechanism of intervention, then we sort of get into this regressive place, right? And I think I started doing it at like school level in terms of interest, and then I joined a global network called Alternatives to Violence. And when Kenya went through that, they put out a global call to say, hey, people who would like to work in communities, work with people, to sort of deal with the trauma, because if you've gone through it, there's like the traumatic piece that you have to get over so that you can move on with your life. And unless someone takes some time, talks you through it, gets you to that place where you can move on, you sort of get stuck in that place, and that's how violence sort of keeps recurring.
I like that.
So I decided to take a sabbatical. I came for 90 days. I spent I think 5 weeks in the greater Nairobi, so Kibera, Mathare, Mukuru, doing community workshops. Then I spent about 6 weeks in Western Kenya, in a place called Lubao. I think there's a dog market that's there. I was a few meters from there, but I had a great opportunity to work with the community around where I was staying. We also went to Montelgon, we went to Eldoret, and it was just about having conversations about what happened and getting people to realize that they were affected, right? And unless they acknowledged and started to address it in a productive way, then they would find themselves sort of stuck in that place. And I had the best time. I knew I would be back immediately, but that was my first sort of introduction to Kenya. I will say another part of Kenya was brought to me because I met another girl. She actually was a radio presenter.
Kenyan,
Kenyan.
Kenya kuna matatu.
Her name was Angela Wanaina. She was with Ghetto Radio.
Yes.
Unfortunately, she passed.
She passed on. In the whatever Nakumat.
Exactly. So she put it on the map as well. I think a few months before, she was attending a conference in Southern Africa, and then she was just like, if there's a place you've never been. I had a crush on her. To put it into the right context.
Okay, just hold on. Abstract, what does that mean in context? Kevin. Ask him the question the way it should be asked.
Yeah, help me over there.
Did you kiss her?
No.
Okay, boss. Okay. Yeah. Rest in peace. By the
that makes the two of us.
Yes.
So that's what put Kenya on the map. So she talked about the creative sector. I have creative elements.
Right.
Coming out of Zimbabwe, I felt like the expression, like room to express yourself was not there. So you had to quickly move to where the money is. Like,
right.
If you don't know where the money is, then you're wasting time.
Exactly. Yes.
So I moved from, I think I would have been a sound engineer. I think I would have been a good producer.
Right.
Because I balance sort of commercial and artistic elements really well. But then I sort of got into a space where I could do that by building systems, solving problems, bringing people together, either in business or just community to create value.
Okay, so Kaye, are you realizing this while you're still in high school in Zim, or this time had you crossed the border and you're now in SA?
I started realizing the artistic part, like content and peace have always been like underlying themes. Like those are like they're part of my life. I just have learned maybe over time to express them when there is a platform or an opportunity that makes sense.
Right.
And coming to Kenya was that opportunity for peace, but I was doing commercial work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so you understand when he says honing that sound and the guitar and the violin.
Yeah.
So you would have been, a sound engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in high school in Zim, then you go to SA, this for campus.
No, campus in Zim as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So by the time I was moving to South Africa, I was looking for work.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so 2008, and then you spend 90 days.
Yeah.
And you say, you know what, Kenya, I'm coming back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Angela had a little something to do with it. So you Footsec, you go back down to SA for how long?
2 years.
You go back for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then what happens in 2010?
In 2010, so South Africa is a difficult place to be.
Yeah.
In general, like the energy.
Yeah.
It's just difficult.
Yeah.
And coming to Kenya, I had never felt like welcome, supported. I really felt like I had community.
Yeah.
I didn't know everyone, whether I was in the village, someone was like slaying a chicken, or someone was saying, come in, let me give you tea.
Yeah.
And like if you go to Southern Africa, that level of warmth doesn't really exist.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so it was just like, if I'm going to struggle to build something, I'd rather be in a place where there is a stronger sense of community.
I love that.
And then that was like number one.
Okay.
Number two, statistically, I mean, Kenya is positioned for many things, but I started looking at technology and the convergence of technology very early. Even when we we're doing the social work, I saw that there were a lot of people with like great social ideas and they wanted to create social change. And this was like, now we call it, social enterprise. But 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it didn't have a name. It was just people who wanted to make impact.
All right.
And in my head, I was just like, the numbers don't make sense though. Like I understand the intention, but the mechanics, they need work.
Right.
And I thought in 2010, if I came, I would start a consulting company.
Right.
So this was sort of like, take one. And I would help those who wanted to create the highest social impact to make like really profitable models. And that's how I got back.
That's why he's a serial entrepreneur. He's a Pan-Africanist. All right. First came, the cue to call was 208, post-election violence.
Yeah.
Spent time in Greater Nairobi and then outside a dog market in Western. Have you been to a dog market, my friend?
I wanted to ask where. I've never seen.
No. Chinese are listening, my friend. There can be genocide.
I've never.
A dog market, ne?
No, I've never.
What? Yeah, clearly the dogs for sale.
They're dogs for sale.
As pets, right?
Pets, right? Yeah, I wanted to ask that.
Yeah.
No, but how would he know? But
no.
You've eaten dog?
No, think about it. 2008, a dog market. It's just a market, and unfortunately, this is where a lot of people converge, and dogs sell. So it's a viable business model. That's what I would say.
Okay.
What he said, it's a viable business model, my friend. So it's like the Nyamakima. No,
but for dogs, no.
But do you think in a Wuhan are listening?
I think now that's where they discovered
Bus.
China Square.
So, listen, so that he comes back in 2010. But then, you know what? It's about growing the social enterprise. There's no name for it then. Now we have title. What did Kaye do next? And this is the bit where SMEs, he now puts them on the map. We're going to get to that next. But first of all, let's play your song. And we asked you to come with a list of songs because ideally you should be sat here as we're talking over there.
Yeah.
But then again, tomorrow's another day. These songs have meaning for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And the first one was Mace, Feels So Good.
Yeah.
Right? What does that take you back to, my brother?
So I was just coming out of junior school, going into high school, and somehow, P. Diddy, Mace were sort of like a voice of hope, like coming from Zim, and like anything that showed potential, like young people doing things.
Love it.
Like this, that's where it takes me to.
I love that. It's Mace, Feels So Good. Baba, the title of that song, Feels So Good, what does that mean to you?
Just feeling good. Nothing much.
Say again? Say what?
I swear I would.
You will what? What?
Nothing.
So it's Mace. It feels so good. You talk about, you came out at a time when there was 6-figure inflation. By the time you get into literally the breadline, when you're at the back of the queue, by the time you get to the front of the queue, the price of bread has changed.
It's changed.
You bought that loaf of bread and now you're selling it to somebody because even that inflation is fantastic. Brilliant. So 2008 comes about, and remember 2007, there was the election. Obviously, there was PEV, and then there was a queue to call. That time Kaye, and this is the bit I love, he was in South Africa, and because you've always had that community spirit, you said, you know what, let me go to Kenya and assist where I can. You spent 3 months here in Greater Nairobi, including places like Kibra, and then you went off to Western and also to the Mount Elgon region as well.
Yeah.
2 years later, it's 2010. Kaye's back, but this is the thing that it's 2010 now, and now this is where I got there's a very interesting story ahead. Now you've worked for a global supply chain, right? Tell me about the Soko story.
Great. So I get back in 2010,
right?
And I think the plan was to speak to people who had an ambition. So the backstory to Soko was I was actually doing some additional work with a children's home called Teule, Kenya.
Wow.
And I met a young girl called Rosa Mora.
Yes.
And Teule, Kenya was working on a sustainability project, and I was advising on basically what could be done. They were building a school so that they could generate revenue and support the home.
This is Nairobi?
This is Olitoktok.
Okay.
So closer to the Namanga border.
Right.
And so this young lady, I think at the time she was like 17, she sort of sees the work that I'm doing, and she's like, hey, how about you help me build a business? Right. And I'm like, okay, we could do that.
Hold on, bro. How the hell did you get to Olitoktok? You have been to Olitoktok?
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think, how you get there is how you get anywhere is you're actually trying to help someone else.
I love that. Yeah.
And I think that's what got me there.
Right.
I was working with a gentleman called John, and John was trying to really support the home, and he needed some people who could help. And all I could do was use what I had, which is just to think and organize to help them. So Rosa says, you know what, I want to go to university of my choosing, and so I need to start a business so that I can sort of like really chat a path that I own.
Right.
I didn't take it seriously initially, but she was like very serious. Coming out of the home, when you turn 18, you have to now sort of move out.
Yes.
And so she moved to Kibera, and she was like, okay, what can I do? So I asked her, what skills do you have? She's like, I make jewelry. I'm like, cool, then let's use that. So let's organize a group of young people. Let's teach them what you know so that we can produce volume, and then let's go downtown and see if we can sell your product. We were able to generate enough revenue, I think, to support herself and her ambition and 15 other people coming out of Kibera, and then some supporters from the US sort of learned about a story. They're like, hey, we want to give you a scholarship. Come stay with us. Go to a great school and get support. So on her exit, she met another founder called Ella Pinovich. She was coming into this market. Initially, she's an MIT grad. She was doing work within Kibera around social impact. And so she had this vision about connecting marginalized artisans with a global market.
Right.
And so she sort of saw this whole thing coming together. She had co-conspirators, Kate Mahugu, who is also a serial entrepreneur, and another lady called Gwendolyn Floyd. And Ella says to me, hey, we ran into Rosa, and she says that you helped her, and we're interested in sort of seeing how we can work with you. So we've built out this tech platform. If you know Demo Africa in 2010, we're launching at Demo Africa, and we need someone who can recruit 100 artisans, introduce them to e-commerce in 2010.
Wow.
And
it's 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And like just get that thing off the ground.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. And the long of the short is I was able to mobilize 250 artisans, train them on e-commerce, and got them set up in 30 days. And then she basically offered me a job.
At Soko now?
At Soko.
Okay. And then, so I hear that legend has it that now from those artisans in Kibra, their turnover was to the extent of some of them are like 6 million shillings a year.
Yeah. So
from making that jewelry?
Absolutely. So what we did was, with economics, there's comparative advantage. And like, this is the thing that Africa hasn't really figured out, and more so in the creative.
Excuse me? You're going to use your words, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. That comparative, that one you shall stop because we're here.
Right.
What?
Yeah. No, that's a good call out. So, So, in between two regions, there's one region that can deliver something at a lower cost, higher efficiency, and send it to the next market.
Yes.
And so Africa has the potential to do that for many things.
Yes.
What people haven't figured out is, how do we take cultural capital? So craft is the second biggest employer after agriculture.
Really?
Yeah. And it doesn't have stimulus packages and support. The people who really learn it through cultural interaction. So you learn from your mom or your aunt or someone who does it, and suddenly you have the skill. So it's not standardized. But if you can figure out how to package that and turn it into a product, then you can take it to markets that value art or craft or content in a way that they're willing to pay for. So our cost of production is lower. And then you can build multipliers.
There we go.
So that's what we did. So we created a network of about 2,500. So we built a technology to actually manage distributed manufacturing. There isn't a craft model that exists like Soko that has proven commercial viability in the world. So we can claim that.
Okay.
So we built a an Uber-like technology where we can share work with artisans. They produce it, and in 6 weeks we could fill out orders that were like $250,000 in 6 weeks. So from the time we get the order in the US, we get it as finished goods, we turn it into components, we share it with all the artisans. They work on pieces because we're trying to protect IP and just make sure that the market doesn't recreate what we're selling. We assemble it, we package it, and we ship it, and it was just like phenomenal. I'm still consulting for Soko, so I'll tell you a little bit about that. But in a short period, we created 2,500 jobs. We were on the cover of Essence magazine with Michelle Obama.
Right.
I think 2019 we showed up on Oprah Winfrey's April issue, and it was a Soko product. And that was a product that was being produced in Kibera, in a place, if you go to Toy, in the small little workshop that product was seen on a cover in New York with the first lady of the time, and that's the power of like packaging what we have and then really taking it to different markets.
Okay, so 2000, these craftspeople, it's just what, they're companies or individuals?
Largely they're companies, so they were an aggregate of about 300 micro workshops that would employ collectively 2,500.
And strictly just Kibra?
Kibra, Mathare, Mukuru, Ngong, like Greater Nairobi.
Again. All right. So you realize that now these individuals are making, 6, 7, 8 mic in a year. Then that's the light bulb moment where you're like, you know what? These are actually SMEs.
Yeah.
And then that leads to the transition of Tactiv and what Tactiv does.
Absolutely.
So when we get back, we're going to talk about that. But I can see time waits for no person. So we're going to play the next song.
Yeah.
And this one is Coolio Gangsta's Paradise, bruv. So Kaye, what does that song mean to you?
So I think it's about the energy.
Yeah.
Again, like I'm all for optimistic. I'm all for like good energy, get results. And I think that song really bridges from Fuji's into the same type of energy, but now also celebrating what I think is opportunity. There is sort of a paradise for entrepreneurs.
I love it.
You just need to get into it.
Come on. We're scared, my brother.
Definitely.
Now, were you around when? Of course, you're around. But did you go for the Coolio concert when he came?
No.
Oh no?
Nah.
Too young? Weren't allowed into Carnival? Baba, you could sneak under the two gate. Beats of the season. No, you didn't know. All right. So Kaye Matereke, senior partner, Tactiv Consulting. I love it, man. Especially what you did with Soko and the craftspeople of Kibra, and Mathare
and Mukuru.
And then it all started with that school in Oloitoktok. Umetembea Kenya lakini kakangu Swahili, you good?
Yeah, like I'm not good with languages, but I'm like I hear everything in Swahili.
You hear everything in Swahili.
Hey, it's so funny how you ask me Swahili. Actually,
maybe 7 minutes.
By the same boat.
Wait. Shut up.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? SpiceFM.
He's a senior partner of Tactiv Consulting, and Kaye Matereke is in the studio. Kaye is, by the way, Kaye, before we go in, what does that song mean to you, my brother? JZ and Alicia.
That's a great question. I think this one, New York is like a melting pot for like different people. When I had the opportunity to go there, as I was working for Soko, I mean, I realized that the same type of convergence exists here. And how you make it in a space where there are so many ideas is your state of mind. It's like it's what you tell yourself, it's how you encourage yourself, it's the community you create around you. So your mind at any time is like the one tool that helps you navigate places of like maybe great adversity, but also great opportunity.
Anyway, now give him a round of applause, man. Good job. Now, so that's New York City. Obviously, we're talking about United States of America.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Now, have you been to California?
Yes.
Okay, but have you been to Calif? Yeah.
No.
Wait, I will tell you.
It's just a place.
It's Lando.
Yeah, have you ever heard of a place called Islay?
Islay, yes.
It's somewhere there.
Yes. Calif.
There's a place called Calif.
Yeah, where can your Cali is going to coming out.
That's the only California I know.
I didn't want you to feel left out, my brother. You know what it is? Listen, so it's all about Transformational Thursday, where we aspire to inspire. And speaking of being inspired, you know what? He was a community leader. And in 2008, 2007, obviously we had post-election violence. And he got that clarion call. And he got on a jet plane from South Africa that particular time. He spent 90 days here in Kibra, Greater Nairobi, Mount Elgon, and the dog market where, Baba?
Somewhere in Western.
Bus. All right, meeting and building communities. Okay, after his 90-day surgery, he went off, but he promised himself he's going to be back in Kenya after 2 years. 2010, he came back and then basically was helping in Oloitoktok. And what do you call that? What do you call that school? Kaye, what's it called again? In Oloitoktok? Anyway, he was in
the children's home.
The children's home.
Yeah,
that even me, and I got a mind block at the children's home in Oloitoktok, and then that led him on a journey to Kibra and seeing basically artisans, craftsmen who are basically able to make themselves goods. We're talking jewelry. We're talking about arts and craft.
Yeah,
that led to Soko, which led to him being on the cover of Essence magazine. Oprah Winfrey's
me.
Yeah,
the company.
The company. Sorry.
The company.
Sorry. Yeah, think about your black mug. Yeah, I was going to look for that coffee by then. and then also on Oprah Winfrey's own magazine as well.
Yeah,
it is own, right?
Yeah,
the product. So we're talking about Soko, and when we talk about these artisans, now we're at a stage where these people, 2,500 of them. Yeah. From the Kibras, from the where else again?
Mukurus,
Ngong,
and the Nagongs,
and the Madaris.
No, don't say it with an accent from
I'm teaching myself.
Yeah. Okay.
In the next life.
These people are making up to 6, 7, 8 million shillings a year.
Yeah,
and that tells you that, listen, these are actually SMEs.
Yeah.
Then that brings us full circle to Tactiv. How did it go from there, Soko, to Tactiv Consulting? Because, Christine, by the way, if you've got a question, what do you need to do?
Just go to our social SpiceFM KE, and you can dial the number 0719012600.
Christine says, hey, Quach, glad to hear Kaye's Tactiv in studio. They have some amazing networking sessions. We've got to go for one of those, bro.
Trust me, I have to. After the interview and everything, I've learned a lot.
You've learned a lot, eh?
Yeah.
Don't make it a question answer, because we might ask you some questions. So the journey came.
Yeah.
So the Soko, you realize that, damn, these are SMEs.
Yeah.
So what's the next step?
So I'm going to dial back and then dial forward. In Zimbabwe, the thing that I realized early is that the economy was messed up.
You're right.
Kenya has a 6% GDP growth sort of year over year.
Yeah.
It has incredible convergence of culture, ideas, technology. And sometimes we take that for granted.
Yes.
So when we zoom into sort of the craft economy,
yes,
we built a business that was trading in the millions of US dollars. And the average age when I was COO in this business was like 25. So we didn't have the money to hire experienced people.
Yes.
We were actually working with people coming out of school, and we were working with the informal sector. And the job was just to organize ourselves around the innovation and create tremendous value. So a couple of lessons. Tactiv was not like a smart idea. It was a realization that if you create an ecosystem approach around any group of people, you actually increase the probability of success, and you actually compound the value that could be created in that space. And I said, okay, if we're working with people who may have had limited access to technology, to finance, and they're now turning over thousands of dollars, what could we actually do with small businesses if we got them some support? What could become of them? And in the 3 years that we've operated, I can tell you some of the biggest brands in the market, we've supported them. So if you're in the fashion space and Kanye, right? The all of last year when she was doing the fashion brunch, we actually run strategy for her. We helped design the product, think about execution. Now we're thinking about regional scale, right? Had an opportunity to support the Wowzy team on the social influencing side, went in as a COO, helped with building structures, building culture, and they're doing like incredible stuff. And we're also doing some exciting stuff with, brands like like Twiva, who are also in the same space but focusing on social selling. You will find us in telco, right? In the telco value chain, working with brands like Adrian, who supports Safaricom, Airtel, ATC, and these are businesses that sometimes we don't pay attention to because they haven't been given the brand, but over time are generating like millions of dollars. So in 3 years, you will find us in verticals like manufacturing. You'll find us in verticals like fintech with brands, MarkTech. You'll find us with restaurants. If you ever heard of a restaurant called Embark, right? It's a 12-seater restaurant in Karen, very boutique, bespoke. Year one, I think, generated about $150,000 in year one from 12 seats. It's the business model. And I could keep sort of throwing out other brands that we support.
The hell are they cooking? Jesus.
Maybe so. Actually, I'm interested.
Yeah. The hell?
12 seats.
But it goes back to that conversation about Lubao and dogs, right? It's the business model. When you think about that community, they have vast lands. Everyone has a security issue, and breeding dogs is a low cost engagement.
Okay, so we go back to let's backtrack a bit. So here's Tactiv.
Yeah,
it's 2023.
Yeah.
Obviously, imports are now going to be hella expensive.
Yeah.
So there's that local SME.
Yeah.
Kev, think of a business model. What are you thinking? What be a shout out? Kevin wants to start a business.
Yeah.
Okay. A DJ Academy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Say that.
All right. Now, and what steps should he take, and how does he? Okay, so I can hear Kaye. I hear what Kaye is talking.
Yeah.
And he grows these businesses. Yeah. And year on year, so like that 3-year turnover.
Yeah.
What does he do? What's step one?
Yeah. So step number one is be humble. And be humble is, it's not about what you can do. It's about who you can serve, right? Most entrepreneurs make the mistake that when you have an idea and you have an innovation, you become sort of narcissistic about what you want to do. But the more important question is, who can you serve? When we understand that there are communities that are waiting for you to help them curate music or build a pipeline of DJs, and they're willing to pay for that, we then begin to ask, can we build a team that can deliver that solution?
Yeah.
And then what you can do comes last. So reorganize sort of the way you think about things from what can I do to who can I serve? So markets. Second, how can I build a team to develop a solution that can serve this large market? Always go for large markets. And then finally, product innovation comes last. If you want to see proof point early, then start with a big market that's willing to pay early. Then you have something going on for you. But if you spend time building studios and like training people before you can figure out how you get paid, those businesses don't scale. So just reorient from product teams to market, to start with market, then build a team around that market, and then continue to innovate and build solutions that people are willing to pay for.
Umesikia?
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly now 3/4 of that, I guarantee you, we're cruising at 35,000 above sea level. So, I see here you have networking sessions.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah, free. So we actually buy people drinks. We call them the socials.
Those ones I can come for. Sorry.
So we organize them. I think last year we had a lot more of them.
Yes.
This year we have them sort of intermittently.
Right.
But they're just a platform where we invite people who are entrepreneurs. People don't really like calling myself a consultant. That was like a huge challenge because consultants have a bad reputation. And part of that bad reputation is, you talk a lot, you got like spreadsheets and numbers, but you don't actually do the work.
Yes.
As Tactiv, we don't do advisory, which is like spreadsheets and like presentations. We do technical support. So we come into your business, we help you move the furniture around, invite the guests, and then you start to see the results. When you start to see the results, we start to train you on the team to say, okay, who do you want? Let's help you hire. Let's grow them so that we can work our way back to advisory, and then you can continue to run the business. So the networking sessions are to introduce the complexity around building a business. So we share information, as much information at no cost, build a network of other like-minded people, because I think if you have a big idea, it takes courage. I put out a post on LinkedIn yesterday, and it was really directed to my team. And I was talking to them about this idea that everyone has big ideas and we lack the courage to implement it. But in our gut, we know that there's just something there. Then there's the other group that have too many big ideas, then they start to cannibalize each other. They turn to nothing, but you still have that sure sense that something big could have come out of it. And I was sharing with them that for me, 2023 is about decluttering. Focus on that big goal, reduce the steps, simplify the process, focus on the outcome, and just have the courage to keep doing that. But you need a community that sees life the same way, so that they can give you, positive fuel from the outside to get that stuff
I like
done.
that. Because, part of the reason you're here is because, everyone now, and especially with the state of the world, you've got to have a side hustle.
Absolutely.
And, but the problem that I find with Kenyanese, the Kevins of this world, the abstract, they're very good at copy paste. Like this time 3 years ago, everyone was now wines and spirits.
Oh yeah.
So true. Everyone and Israela, opened a wine and spirits. Did you open one, bro?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of you say about don't have too many ideas, but focus on that one idea.
Big idea.
With that one big idea, what if it's an idea that everyone has? Are we? Because we're mentally lazy.
Yeah.
That's my point of view.
Yeah.
You agree with that one, brother?
I too agree.
Yes.
So I think there are a couple of ways to think about it. The first way is that you can always do what other people are doing, but they can never do it the way you do it, right?
Hey.
So the idea of uniqueness is not that we're selling different products. It's how much we care about what we do. It's the customer service. It's the thoughtfulness. It's the innovation, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't challenge people to think about something outside the box, but the greenfield opportunities, the stuff that's never been done. In the same sort of post that I put out, I told them that ideas are currency of the future. If you want to cash out on something 10 years from now, it's about how big are you thinking in terms of ideas today, and how hard are you willing to work on them. If you do the same thing, you will have some additional income, you will have a business structure, you would have a good credit history so you can access more money, etc., etc. But if you want to change your life, it's about leaning in, taking on a little bit more risk and making bets on you, and then following through on that big idea.
Brilliant. Kaye, now just going back, because you're big on community, my friend.
Yeah. And
I just can't help. So you went to community, these artisans. Now, they were grossing, 6, 7, 8 million a year.
Yeah.
Were they still reinvesting within the community, or they moved out of the community? You with the 9 mic, could you still be in Kibra?
Nah, Billas.
You would move, eh? You can't.
So I think the interesting thing about the community is a lot of the people you see in the periphery came from upcountry. Right?
Yes.
And so they have really strong ties. A lot of our entrepreneurial artisans, so we had 3 archetypes. We had sort of the payment-centric archetypes, and these guys were the ones who just wanted to be paid. If you give them a big order, they don't deliver it. My dog died. There's always a story.
Yes.
So you had to give them very small orders so that they sort of deliver and benefit from the process. Then there was a second group, which was the artisanal artisan who takes pride in their workshop. They'll get all the equipment, want to do the most complex work, but if you give them high volume, because of their aspiration to quality, they would never do anything fast. And so you'd always have to give them either the most complex jobs and compensate them for that, or you give them just enough so that they deliver it on time.
Yes.
Then the large group that I think is the youth today is the enterprise-centric. They think of everything as a problem. They learn this skill and they organize. That group is the group that started making a ton of money and they started diversifying. So a lot of them were building houses back home. They invested in bodas. They started to create other businesses from their wealth, because we started to educate them about passive income. You're aggressively working hard here. You don't want to have 10 businesses that require a lot of attention in terms of management. Okay. And we started to give them knowledge around diversification. education. So they did not leave Kibera. The ones who are in Ngong are still in Ngong. But in terms of their credit history, the revenues that they generate for themselves, you know, they're actually more paid than some people in the office.
Yes.
You know, but it's because they were also willing to invest in their big idea, which is like, I can build a workshop that could create a product that could serve a global consumer. And they held true to that. It was not easy. It's still not easy, right? But they did it, and I think that's how they're benefiting from it.
Love it. So there's a black man like Kevin here is like, I'm sold. I want Tactiv Consulting to help me help myself and grow. How does one touch base? What does one need to do to become part of the crew?
Absolutely. So first of all, like I'm not the person that says that you need someone else to help you, right? I think the fundamentals are that there's enough information for you to make progress, and you need a higher level of self-commitment to develop and grow, and that's the first port of call. It's not about how much you pay someone else to help you. If you're not invested, technically it's not going to work. So I'm going to say, start to change some of your habits, start to look at what you listen to, because it shapes how you think and it shapes how you evolve your ideas. The second step is to start to create community around you. You know, maybe Tactiv is out of reach because you're listening to us from, maybe Nakuru.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Yes. All you need to do is find an entrepreneur in that space and study them. There was a time I needed a lot of coaching. I couldn't get it. So I just started to take all the tech giants. I looked at the CEOs. I took their content. I started just feeding on that content to understand how they think. Then I would always ask myself the question, how would Mark solve this problem? Or how would Elon think about this? You know, and
that is Zuckerberg, my friend. Like that first name.
I know that.
Yes.
Right. So it's just like, it gives you a frame to think about things. It doesn't mean you'll do what they would do, but you would see how they could think through that particular outcome, which is super helpful. And then you sort of can work your way to support. So for Tactiv, you can find us. You can find us online. And send us an email through info. You can ping me on my LinkedIn. We're like super responsive to the digital space. But I would only set one condition.
Right.
The people who come looking for us need to do things that are at scale. Like, if you want to get a big idea done, we're the right group of people to partner. If you're still trying to just like figure out if it's what you want to do, I will still tell you in a one-on-one meeting that you need to sort of have a come to Jesus moment on this thing, right? But as soon as you're sure, we're the partners to help you scale. So if you have a big idea, you can reach out directly. It's Kaye at Tactiv.consulting. So Tactive.consulting. And I will personally be in the meeting, and we can sort of see how we can create value for others, right? My roots about community are because I have 11 million people in Zimbabwe who I cannot support for reasons beyond me.
Yes.
And I know the value of creating support for others.
Yes.
So people who want to create ideas at scale are oftentimes thinking about giving back. Bill Gates is only a billionaire because more than 1 billion people use his product and earn value from it. Right? And I think that's what service is. Yeah. So we need to think about how we can take innovations and create more value for others, how it creates jobs, how it improves quality of life, how it changes how other people are experiencing the world. That perspective is something that I'm always excited to jump behind and then do some transformational stuff.
I love it. You got big ideas, and you know what, if you could do it at scale. So Kevin, that idea of yours, by the way, done of those gentlemen's clubs spread all over Nairobi. Yeah. It's a brilliant idea, bruh. So when's your next one, and when's your cue to call for your next networking session, by the way?
I think we'll have a special dedication to SpiceFM. 30 days from now, we'll give you guys an invite, and then we'll open it to a larger audience. So we're doing this one in collaboration with you to really celebrate entrepreneurs.
I love it. He's a senior partner. We're talking about Tactiv Consulting. Kaye Matereke, thank you so very much for coming on Spice Drive, and especially, you know what, for Transformational Thursdays, aspiring to inspire. You know, you've got your idea, make it make sense.
Yeah.
All right, think and scale.
Definitely.
Then you'll be absolutely good to go. Once more, your contacts, please, there, Kaye.
It's Kaye at Tactiv.consulting. So Tactive.consulting.
I like that. Now, okay, before you bounce there, first of all, there's we're gonna play 2 songs for you. One was Kanye West featuring Duele. See, let's see it with an accent. It's Flashing Lights, right?
Yeah.
What does that song mean for you, brother?
Maybe as I think about my exit. Yeah. So I think Kanye is like a great artist.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of us are afraid to really step into our creative energy.
That's true.
And I think this guy, like, I'm not one to judge, like, is he on the right track, off track? Like, we all have low moments. We all make mistakes. We all, and there's always something that could be discussed. But, like, I think he challenges us to be more of who we want to be. So step into your fullness, whether it's ideas, whether it's business, whether it's community, whether it's work, like just be fully present, fully dedicated, trying to really move the needle. And I think we create a completely different space that everyone can benefit from.
This nigga deep, ne? Hey, boss. That you put all of that meaning into that song.
Yes. In this moment. I love it.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing?
Spice FM.